direct to you. That's my wonderful town.
We are working very hard to get consensus around a proposal that allows people to keep their current insurance and in the way things are done if they want to, but for people that don't have insurance or where it costs too much, they can make a change. I think that within the next few months, I think by summer, we'll have something that is moving through the Senate. And we're hopeful that by the end of the year we'll have something. I think that's a very aggressive timetable, but the reality is that too many people don't have any health care right now. Too many small businesses can't afford it. Big businesses cutting back. And so we've got to move as quickly as we can.
To be somewhat cynical, is it also the case that if you get into January of 2010, people are going to be looking ahead to midterm elections and touching a subject like healthcare may not be what they want to do when they're thinking about that?
Well, I think we always have to deal with what's coming up in terms of elections. But I think for me, the biggest issue is the fact that people are waiting too long right now to get the health care they need. It really ought to be a right, not a privilege in the greatest country in the world. And we can do that. We can do that in a way that creates something that's uniquely American, builds on what we have. But people have waited too long for this to happen. It needs to happen now.
Does this also mean, I think when people look back at what happened in the 90s, it seemed like there were two camps that were at opposite ends and not a lot of give on either side towards the middle. I mean, if you're going to get to something that passes and is signed into law, a lot of people are going to have to give something to get there.
There's no question that we have to have a coming together of the minds. I mean, something that involves compromise. But the good news is that we have a lot of what's been called strange bedfellows working together, with businesses and labor working together, consumer groups, hospitals, doctors. We're seeing insurance companies coming forward and saying, yes, we need to change. We need to have better regulations so that people aren't discriminated against or dropped from their coverage if they get sick. So we're seeing different attitudes right now, and I think it's because the costs have gotten so out of whack, and so many businesses now can't afford it, and so many people are without health care. People understand that we've got to get something done.
And I know today we've been talking about all these economic issues, and you're not necessarily on a foreign policy type committee, but the whole thing that happened in Somalia with the pirates and this kind of dramatic rescue. I mean,
right.
We don't want to go through that again. So what does the U.S. have to do to prevent something like that?
Well, first of all, I want to congratulate everyone that was involved in this rescue. As I understand it, it was done flawlessly, and I want to thank the Obama administration and all of their commitment, and for them giving the go-ahead to the people there to make the decision and use their best professional judgment, which they did. In the future, I think we've sent a message now about what happens when foreign Americans are taken hostage, and I think we need to take this seriously, and we will continue to take it seriously, and hopefully those who are out pirating in the waters will think twice now because of the fact that the United States is taking this very seriously. Yeah.
Would like your comments on cap and trade, and if that might be a source for funding for development of electric automobiles to compete with China's efforts.
Well, there's a number of ways. A cap and trade system, putting a price on carbon and then taking those dollars and putting it back into technology, can be good for Michigan if we design it right, because it's about developing that new technology for vehicles, for other alternative energies like wind and solar and geothermal. We also need to make sure, though, that whatever we do, that we are not disadvantaging businesses here in the United States who may then ship those jobs overseas. So we've got to make sure that if China is not doing its part, that there is a penalty that they pay to be able to sell into this country. They need their own cap and trade, their own carbon policy. And until they get that, I think we've got to design something in a way that creates a level playing field for our businesses.
And a quick comment on the Employee Free Choice Act. Where do you see, will that come to a vote this year?
I believe it will come to a vote. I'm supportive of this. I know there's a lot of discussions right now because there currently aren't the votes to overcome a filibuster, which takes 60 votes. And so my estimation is that there may be some efforts to make some modifications in order to be able to get the votes. I'm not sure exactly what that would be, but I think fundamentally this is about employees being able to choose to have secret elections, being able to make choices about what they want to do in the workplace and who they want to have representing them, and I think it makes sense.
Thank you very much.
Sure. Yeah. Nice.